I'm a tech ed teacher over at Heritage High School, and I like what you said about flipping the classroom because Smart Record allows you to do that perfectly. You can create your own videos, you can showcase them to the students, you can differentiate instruction using your videos. It's a great tool to use, and I use this along with Edmodo. And so all of my things, I have sort of an online hybrid type classroom. So I post things online, and my kids get their assignments from there. I think it's a way of teaching smarter, not harder, using Smart Recorder. I create short, specific, and relevant videos for instructions, lessons, or ideas. Every video I create has a purpose. I don't just put it out there just because. There's a reason that my kids are going to actually look at it and they actually learn something from it. The students also use it to complete summarizing or reflection activities using their Smart Recorder, so they get to use it as well for different activities.
Are you using, I assume you're using smart software, right? So the kids actually have to do it in class when they create their own?
Correct. If they create their own, we have the laptops because my lab does not have Smart Recorder installed, so we actually use the laptop card and they use the software. But once I create my videos, if I put them on Edmodo in a certain format, they can view them anywhere.
Okay.
If you use YouTube, they can view them anywhere.
Okay.
They can even use their cell phones and with the BYD initiative at Heritage and actually view their videos that way as well.
Okay.
I was gonna say, because that's still a problem in access.
Exactly.
There's some schools where we've got kids that still don't, I mean, even with phones and things at home, they still don't have access.
And they
you
don't
can't get access to labs and laptops because it's tied up with the core classes, because I'm not core.
I understand. I'm fortunate. I have a lab, so I have
So,
computers
that's
in
still
my
a
lab.
problem.
So at other schools, it depends on if you have access to laptop cards, if you can ask another teacher to use their labs.
What school are you?
But if you have a smart board, your students may not be able to use it, but you can. You can
Right.
still record your lesson.
But that's the
showcase
issue again,
them.
is what's the purpose? As I'm saying, if you put it out there, then how you get kids that they don't have access to use this stuff?
Yes, they definitely have to access to some type of technology to use it. So if you have it, great.
George, they can
If
go to
not,
the
it may be a
library.
challenge. So just kind of figure out a way to have them give them that access of actually having a computer or some type of technology they can use it on. From my experience with using Smart Recorder, my students love being able to pause it, play it, rewind the video so they can watch it over and over again at their own pace. Sometimes I may talk too fast. Sometimes a student may miss a step. So actually go to the video and actually rewind it back to a step or pause it and do the activity and come back to it, it makes them in charge of their own learning and actually engage them more as well. I find that the Smart Recorder videos are really helpful when students are trying to demonstrate a specific set of technology instructions. Like if I say press here, press there, I may lose them. But the video actually shows them step by step. And it's extremely beneficial when I have someone who's out or absent. They can come back in, put my video from the previous class and look at exactly what we did. And it just makes the student be more responsible of their actual learning. How it helps my students, I differentiate instruction. It enhances their learning and increases student excitement and motivation. It actually engages them more. If they miss a class, they don't feel lost, need extra help, they know where to go to get it. And it also gives students the ability to take responsibility for their own learning experiences and independently choose the best tool and resource to help them understand the lesson. So when I do a lesson, and I'm going to show an example, I actually create 3 different ways they can view that lesson. I may do a PowerPoint that has pictures. I may do a video recording for my students who need a little bit more help. And I may have a challenging activity for my higher level kids who I actually want to be challenged to do something a little different. It helps me teach smarter because the workload is bigger in the beginning. You do have to do a lot more work in the beginning, but once it's done, it's there for you to use year after year. You have the videos, you can go in there and just showcase them. I post them on my YouTube channel or my online classroom in Edmodo, and they can be accessed anywhere from any electronic device. I also use the videos for students who are absent and need reinforcement, and I use it to differentiate instruction and scaffold learning. But my ones who need some more challenging things, I use it for that way. And I also use it to kind of make my learning concepts a little different for every student in my classroom. You have to use every available tool you have. It's a resource we all have in our schools. So it's great if you can use it to reach every student in your room. It's there, and it's up to you to be willing to embrace it and use it. So I suggest you just start maybe teaching a little smarter and use a smart recorder to help you do that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about an example that I use in my room about differentiating instruction. Every student is different. Every student learns different. Some students prefer pencil paper. Some students like the more hands-on technique. Some students actually need to be able to see it and be a visual learner. So this is an example of actually how I use it in my classroom. And I teach programming as a tech ed teacher, and I also teach video game design. So this is based off of those classes. I adjust the instruction based on my students' individual interests, their abilities, and their readiness. So if they're interested in doing more programming, I give them an assignment that focuses more on that. If they're interested in doing more of the game design piece, I give them more things to focus on actually designing characters and developing a game. So this is an example of a higher level assignment, and these students have mastered the creation of graphics and they need actual challenge. They have expressed some interest in more advanced computer programming, and I create a Google Docs file for them to actually look at. We'll see if it goes to Google Docs. But basically, I use this document and actually put it in Modo, and they will actually have this as their assignment. I actually break my classroom into groups. I have group A, group B, and group C. And each group has a different assignment they're given based off of their interests, what I see they need more help on, and based off of what they actually would like to do. And this is actually a Adobe file that actually gives them steps and things they have to do, and it does not have a lot of me supporting them. They have to actually think through the process and create things on their own. And we'll see if we can get that pulled up. Just copy and paste it. And in my room, we don't have issues with the links because I have them all on my online classroom page in Modo. So the kids just have them, they download them from there. So there's never any problem of them open a link or get into our site. If it's not, I do have a hard copy of it. And you guys can just see what it looks like. I always got it on the back of it, technology.
Amen to that. Amen.
I guess you learn after.
Exactly, you can look at that. That's actually the,
Oh, right there. Oh, okay.
there it is. Get it come out. Okay, so those are the two examples. I'm trying to put one at each table.
There we go.
There you go. Okay. So this right here is for a student, one of my advanced students. And like I said, it does not have a lot of pictures. I show them what I want my room to look like in my game. They have to build that on their own. I don't show them how to create these objects. I don't show them what needs to be done. They have to actually go in there and create on their own based off the knowledge they already have. And then they have the programming they have to do for each event. So that's how it will look for one of my students who are in like the higher level groups, who have the master program and are ready to do some more challenging things. Okay. We'll go back to the next level is going to be a PowerPoint that I would do. A PowerPoint, my PowerPoints have more pictures. so the student actually see what they're looking at. It has more detailed instructions, which allows the student to actually be able to have more support as they're actually doing their game development. And this, yes, that one. And this one is for my students who have some knowledge of program, but still needs a little help with creating their graphics or their animation. And this is more of a PowerPoint. Like I said, it has more pictures, more steps to kind of help them, support them. Okay, and this is what this will look like. And it's, see, it has more pictures in it. It has more steps for them, shows them step by step, and shows different pictures of it. Okay. So, and then for my students who need more instructions, more help, kind of need me to actually kind of guide them through the process, I actually use Smart Recorder and actually record the video of me actually doing a lesson myself. And that way they can go back, they can rewind, they can pause it, they can look back at different steps, they can actually stop it if they need to, and you know, they actually follow along with my video and doing it themselves on their own computer. And this is actually be able to play it at the bottom.
Do you also
Why she's gonna ask a question.
use the camera as well in conjunction when you record these
When you use
instructions?
Smart Recorder actually records your computer screen. It records your desktop.
Okay, so
And
the
you
grab-
have that's not the right one. Yeah, it was the one before that.
okay.
Yeah.
But there's no such thing, camera and Smart Recorder?
No, you don't need a camera. What Smart Recorder does actually record your actual screen on your computer. So what you see on your screen, you can record it, and it records your moves, how you move your mouse, what you go to, records everything you do on your desktop.
Okay.
And then you have a microphone to actually record the voice that goes along with it. So it's kind of like a screencast.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this right here will be for my kids who need some more guided instruction and.
Okay, class, today we are going to learn how to create an animation that can actually be used within our pinball game. This is done by having multiple versions of an image that displays at different times as the game is played. For instance, when the ball hits a bumper, the bumper will glow. When the paddle hits the ball up into the air, the paddle will go flip back and forth, up and down. That's also an example of animation. We're going to create animation for our bumpers, our deflectors, our paddles, and our launcher. We first start by creating a sprite for each image that we're going to need for our animation. Remember, sprites can be created two ways. We can either click on our sprite icon at the very top, or go to our sprites folder, right click, and create sprite. Since we're going to be creating our animation from a loading strip, we're going to go into edit sprite, file, create from strip. Remember to navigate to your resources folder, which is on your desktop. We're in game file resources. We're creating a sprite for paddle left. So we will click that picture, open. Now there are two images for this animation. There's two images per row, and the width and height for our actual paddle is going to be 64 and 32, because we want it to be a little bit bigger in our game room than our ball is going to be. We'll click OK. Now this shows a preview of what your image looks like. As you can see,
So this is about a 5-minute video. I don't need to show the whole thing unless you're developing the game, but it's about a 5-minute video. And actually, the kids use this to actually create their animation within their game. And I did this video in Smart Recorder. So that means I can actually put this video within a PowerPoint, which I have here. I can put it on my Moto site. I can put it in YouTube. I could actually put it anywhere I need it to be. So it can be embedded in different things. So once you create a video.
So could you have your slides ready and then just add your voice to it and see what's going on?
Actually, and where you're going to actually get a chance to do it. What happens is I have my program up, just like your computer screen right now. Let's say I was recording this screen. All I would do is go to Smart Recorder, press play, and what's going to happen as I'm talking, I can just move my mouse around and it's gonna record every single thing I do on my screen.
Okay,
So that's what happens.
good.
And
Good
then I
to
turn
know.
it into a video, yes. So you don't need a camera or anything, yes,
I
sir.
have a question. If we open it up, would it still same thing still work if I was sitting right on the smartboard itself and hit?
Yes, yes. If you do a smart notebook and you're writing, it records every single thing you do on your smartboard, yes. Anything that happens on that screen, it will record. On your computer, on your smartboard, wherever. It's gonna record it for you. Another way my students use Smart Recorder is I do a lot of reflecting and summarizing because at Heritage, those were our big strategies for this year, summarizing and note-taking. So I let my students use Smart Recorder on a regular basis to actually record what they have done in their game and explain to me how they use certain aspects that we talk about in class in their game. So this assignment was for our students and they had to describe how they implemented real-life physics and math concepts within their pinball game. The video had to be 3 to 5 minutes. I had to talk about some STEM concepts, and I told them how to save it as an AVI file and how to turn it into that modal assignment box. So this is one of my students' examples.
Alyssa Glover, please call the main office. Alyssa Glover, please call the main office.
That was mine. That wasn't mine. And his video was about 4 minutes long. Yes.
The gravity and the friction within the game encoded so the ball acts like it would in the real world. Newton's first law of motion was portrayed when the ball stayed in motion until it hit the paddle. The force made the ball bounce and go in another direction. Math was used to calculate a certain speed to move the ball. Using gravity and friction, I managed to set speed on how slow the ball will fall. This applies to real life by showing how friction in the air can affect gravity. The friction helps slow down the pinball so that it isn't at a constant speed. Gravity and friction are real-world properties of physics. Gravity brought the ball back down to the paddles and friction slowed the ball down so it would be more realistic. I also coded the program to make the ball bounce randomly when it hits an object. This happens in the real world and the ball bounces randomly after it collides with another object and not touch a set location every single time. The time coding is used.
And I give my students guidelines. When they know they have to have a certain length for their video, they have to showcase something on their video. It's not just them talking. So to actually, once I set those guidelines, this goes really easy. They know how to save it in Smart Recorder. They know what format to save it in and which one is better. This right here is a video about how to use Smart Recorder. This is actually going to be an assignment we're going to do when we practice. It actually is a YouTube video that someone else created that shows you how to use Smart Recorder to create screencasts. So we will come back to this when we do their assignment. Okay, just some tips and things to remember when you're doing Smart Notebook. And a lot of things Ms. Johnson will also review with you as well. There is an alternative to open up Smart Recorder if it's not in your system tray, and we're going to show you guys that to go into your programs. There's a different way to open it. When you're doing your video, there's 2 ways you can save it. You can save it as a WMV file or AVI. I prefer AVI because AVI can be played on any media. Windows Media Player, it can be played in Real Player or QuickTime. So I always say mine is an AVI. But keep in mind, AVI is also a bigger file, so it's going to take up more space. You can use WMV. It takes up a little bit more space, but it only plays in Windows Media Player. So if you have kids who have Macs or iPhones, it's not going to play on their actual devices. And it has want to be able to be played on like a Windows-based system. So that's something to keep in mind. When you're doing your target file, and these things we're going to show you. I know you're kind of like, what am I? We're going to show you these in just a moment. When you're doing your target file, you can change wherever you want your videos to be saved. I know on our teacher desktops, automatically saves it in the videos folder, automatically. Your files are about 10 megabytes per minute. So if you record an entire lecture for like a 30 or 40 minutes, it's going to be too big. It's going to be too long. So try to keep your video no longer than 10 minutes. That's about 1 gig of space. And you know, that's manageable. No more than 10 minutes. That's just my suggestion. Also, some other tips and things to remember when you're creating your videos. You can hide, as you saw in the video, did anybody see the Smart Recorder on the screen? No, you can hide it so it doesn't show in your video because of the application. So make sure you hide it when you're doing your video so it doesn't show up on your screen. And you can also select specific areas that you can record. For instance, I can just select a portion of my desktop to record. Or if you're doing a smart notebook, you know how it has the big screen and on the side it has the tools? You can just record the middle screen, the big one that you're actually going to be typing in or writing in. And the great thing that I love about this is I can record, I can pause, I can stop it for a minute, pick back up again, pause it again, and keep going in different intervals until I finish my video. So most times I may do 1 or 2 steps and I'll pause my video, go back and do the next 2 steps, just to make sure I get everything right and correct. So that's a great thing about it. All right. Now, any questions for me? I know you guys are ready to get into doing Smart Recorder.
Do you do smart recording as you teach a class or as a preparatory?
Yes, you can. You can, like if you're using a smart noteboard, you can, when you're writing on a smart noteboard or if you're doing anything, you can record it to use if students are absent. Yes, you can. And I have done that before as well. Use it while I actually taught a lesson on my smart board. Any more questions?
And then you show the kids how they can go in and access it later so they can do it, right?
Yes, normally for me, I use it Moto. I know some people may not use it, but I always, if I record this, I always put on that Moto.
Can I
So
say
that
I
you
use
know
it
where to
a
go
little
to get
bit, but it was like a 30-day thing, so how do you get to it so that it's a permanent?
On that Moto, once you put it on, it's permanent.
Because I got emails that said I need to like re-sign up or something.
You're not in the right
You're
spot.
not in it right now.
Newport News has Edmodo for you. It's edmodo.newportnews.com, and we'll
Okay.
talk about that later. We can get you set up.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely get set up because once you put it there, most times I'll use my same things from my last year class and
Yeah.
just put them back in this year's class. They're always there. They're saved.
Okay.
They never go away.
So we have unlimited space?
But I haven't run out of space. I'm not sure exactly how much space in Moto is,
Oh, you
but I
said
haven't run out of space.
Okay.
And I have like 3 years worth of classes on Edmodo, so everything's still there. So it's a great resource to use. And I also
Okay,
get
yeah,
my
no,
quizzes and my tests on
We
Edmodo.
need to know all that.
Yeah.
Kids use it and they don't lose their papers.
And my kids, I have a paperless classroom. My kids do not write on paper. For their reflections, their do nows, they go into Edmodo and they have a discussion about what we're talking about. I hardly ever make copies. I post an assignment, I save it on Adobe file, I put it in Edmodo. When I do a video, I put it in Edmodo. So I hardly ever use any paper, which saves on clicks for me because we run out of them very quickly. And it also teaches kids just about being aware of how much materials they do use. So I think it's a great resource. They have their cell phones out sometimes, accessing Edmodo. So it's really, I think it engages my students and just really makes for an overall great learning environment.
Do they have to create their own username and password? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
but you can. My students forget their username and passwords. The first year I tried it and they forgot it. So what I did, you can actually go into Edmodo and assign different username for your students, or you can tell them standard name and first name dot last name, and their password is always for me and their student ID name, their lunch number.
Okay.
But they can create their own if they would like, but I have found that they forget it. Even when they use it every day, because sometimes they come in, I forgot it. And
I did that last year with
Mhm.
Quizlet. I let them choose, but I
Yeah.
probably, I had to keep a record.
after the first time, after anything I do that has to create a password, I have them do a standard password, which is a lunch number, a standard username, first name dot last name, and a standard email. I have them make up one.
Okay.
First name dot last name at heritage.com, because most times these things don't really need their don't really need their email per se. So you can have them make up things so you don't forget it. So I think that's the best option for that.
What do you store in Edmodo versus Google Docs?
I can store anything in Edmodo. I can store Adobe files, I can store Word documents, I can store Excel spreadsheets. Most times, honestly, I do Adobe files or Word files versus Google Docs. Sometimes I do Google Docs, but most times I just do a standard Word
So you don't need
document.
Google Docs then?
You do not need, no, you don't need Google Docs.
If you did,
I use Google Docs when I have them collaborating. Like when they have to go to a certain, they have to all type in at the same time, that's when I use Google Docs. So most times I use Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I put PowerPoints in Edmodo. Any and everything I can put in there.
if you wanted to establish, that's based on a personal account, is that right? Google Docs?
Yes. Yes, and you have to be able to share it and make it open and they share the link with the
Google
students.
Docs is going to share or collaborate something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I use Google Docs for. They're sharing or collaborating on something. Yeah. But most times I use just the regular file types. So you do not need Google Docs to do this at all. Any more questions?
Audio recording requires a headphone,
Yes, you're gonna need a microphone.
so when you record the class, you can have headphones.
Yes, the class has, and we have a heritage, we have sets we could actually check out. I actually have some in my room, because I purchased them with some funds that I had, and they have to have a recorder.
When she's teaching, she doesn't have to. When she's
No.
up there by herself doing it, she does not have to have a microphone. She just starts the recorder and she can run on the smart board and record your voice and your actions.
Without having to use a
Yes,
microphone?
without, yes.
So if you're doing that, it may not record the students if they make comments or ask questions in the background?
It may not, it depends on how loud they are.
Okay.
I have seen that issue, it may not record them if they're in the background.
But it'll get you?
Yes, because you're close to it in the smart board. So that's a good thing about using smart notebook. I suggest you really use it with your smart notebook if you want to record your lessons. Yeah, but for my purpose, I just kind of use it more on the Moto side. All right. We're gonna practice using actually smart recorder. I want you guys to think of a task or a set of instructions that you can present to your own class. You're going to create a short 3 to 5 minute how-to video or a tutorial using smart recorder. You can do a video on how to search for a website, how to locate a book, how to do a bookmark, how to save a file, anything you can think of, how to turn in an assignment, anything. And to help you guys to differentiate instruction for you, there's 3 things you can use to help you create this. I have a YouTube video, I have printed step-by-step instructions, and I have an online tutorial. I do have a question first. Does anyone here have an Edmodo account already? You too? Okay. You don't use it? If you have an Edmodo account, you can sign in. I just give you the code that's linked to my actual class webpage. Those of you who do not, I'm going to show you how you can actually set up, well, not set up a teacher account, but do like a student account for now.
Don't we need a teacher account?
You do not need a teacher account to do this. You need a teacher account to actually create a class.
How do
But you
we
don't
get
need
that,
one.
the teacher account?
When, if everyone can go to edmodo.com.
But that's where you actually email your ITC, because there's individual codes for each school.
Well, I'm gonna be.
Well, I didn't set mine up that
I
way.
change all the
But
time.
that's the district way to do it.
Oh, okay.
So this doesn't matter if we
It's
flip.
still functional and works for her.
Yeah, it works
Yeah.
for you
We
and
will
that's
get the
great,
heritage one
but
started.
if they go through their teacher, their ITC, each school has their own
Okay.
codes. So
Okay.
they'll be linked within their school's group, and that way they'll see all the teachers at their school
Okay.
that are also in Edmodo.
Okay. So I wasn't aware of that. Can they still do this assignment as a student or?
Yes, they can certainly do that assignment as a student.
Okay.
But if you're setting up your own teacher account, if you go through your
Okay.
So we have to do it for each school we're at, for multiple schools.
it would help. Or if you check,
Yeah.
no. I misunderstood your question for a second. Whatever your main school is, where you get your paycheck,
Okay.
that's the ITC you should ask for your Edmodo school.
Okay, but I can still access it, use it at the other schools.
Absolutely.
You can
It's perfect.
access
You can
it.
access it
Yeah,
anywhere.
anywhere, home, wherever you can
Yeah.
access
Yeah.
Edmodo.
And you can invite the other schools
Yeah.
to see you. It's like
Because
Facebook.
exactly, I have friends like everywhere, all over Heritage. But everyone can go to edmodo.com and click student sign up. We're gonna have you guys sign in as a student.
I tried to do the whole second mixture to my Edmodo.
Yeah, we look alike.
Can you, if you already have an Edmodo account, what you do is go to groups
I get mixed up.
and click join, and then put in my code. Yeah, if you already have an Edmodo account, you can just join a group.
Where's groups?
If you already have one, go right here to press this plus. Click join, yes, and then put in the code I have right here, join as a student. And once you go in, you see the assignment I have actually loaded into Edmodo.
Using smart recorder.
Yep, using smart recorder. And there's 3 ways you can actually.
That's not bad.
How do I say it? I just want to do a quick section. I'm just recording what was in the window.
Okay, you can use it for educational purposes. I'm not trying to sell it. We're not trying to do anything, we're using it to teach students.
Now, if I have a PC desktop for the first time,
Using smart
your desktop.
Because it will replace whatever is on your screen. So take a student or somebody in the math small.
Like, what would you say if you're just using your student sheet? So think about that and just go ahead and it's gonna be recorded. That's how you're getting the screen.
I set mine, I'm looking for it.
Oh.
Okay.
Right,
Oh, whoa.
and then pause it.
How do I know
about the volume?
It's a different
That's
filter
the
over
one
here, I
thing with
guess.
smart recording.
Did I give you the other day? Do you remember?
You're not gonna be able to actually put it
It's just
back.
not.
Okay, but how do I know if it's recording loud or is it quiet? Is it one?
You can talk with the baby and play about it, make sure you're recording it correctly.
You would block it. Okay. And then come up with the same.
Yeah, like when you press stop, it's gonna give you an option to play it back.
Oh.
Yeah, and then it'll actually be able to hear it as you're playing it back.
Okay, click on
Let's go ahead and try.
and then we'll get our recorder up. I'll show you how to use it. If it
Today
doesn't
we
block
will
it.
learn another verb conjugation with the verb called. And these are always to think somebody's name. It's an irregular verb. We'll give it a practice here.
It's recording. We let it get warm. Oh, I didn't know that's how you do it.
I say impressive.
Now, I think the sound was out.
And
The
how I
recording
want to
sound
say,
is coming from here.
stop.
So it's gonna automatically save
This
this
is
in
gonna
your
be a
video.
secret. Okay, so just
And your documents.
That's
not
the
No, I record it.
play recording. Right, this one is okay.
I hit stop.
Our boys are never done. Oh, that is so sweet. So now you have a snippet of something you want to teach the kids, or maybe a visual that you want the kids to examine, evaluate. What do you see? Now, what we're talking about is that means with this. So I have them write some notes. I'll have them have questions, because they're always yelling out. Put your questions down. Then, summary of what you did. Anything else of what you've learned, right here. Okay. Okay, and then, so it's a little graphic organizer we use with the kids. Oh, that's sweet. Yes, maybe they don't know vocabulary words. I don't know what that word meant. I don't know. And then, I don't remember, I'm teaching them how to write questions.
And they'll
Yes,
be
if you
recorded
want
right
to.
there. It's on your desktop.
And you can embed that into
Yeah.
Say it, but I
See?
actually just want to hear
Oh,
it.
that's
and you can
Okay.
embed that into your PowerPoint now, or into your smart notebook.
But that's, you don't have to say it.
In your PowerPoint. So if you have
Yeah.
You got to come back. Okay. Come back. No, come on. Come on. Open up PowerPoint. I'll quickly show you. I hadn't checked to see what we saved it as, so hopefully it'll
Go
work.
back and press stop back in smart recorder.
Yeah, Kathleen said June 17, 2002.
You were right. Hold on. You had it.
You can name it whatever you want to.
I can see some verse.
Filing.
Yeah. All right. So there's an insert.
She looking for her own PowerPoint.
Okay.
We cannot use the when a teacher laptop is being used.